Not gonna lie, I don't think She-Hulk looks very much any better than she did in the first trailer. I think there are a couple of shots here and there where I'm like, that's pretty convincing. But for the most part, she just looks like a video game character.
Yeah, it just looks like someone went into like the secondary colors in like DaVinci Resolve and just changed her skin color.
Yeah, and even like like Bruce Banner, like the Hulk, like some of his shots don't look entirely convincing either. But here's the thing that I think I have to keep reminding myself. They're working on a TV budget. Like, it's still MCU TV, but like when Jennifer Walters, like when She-Hulk shows up in a movie, I think she's gonna look so much better than she does in the show. Because even like the CG for Ms. Marvel didn't look that great. And I feel like, yeah. I hope my roommates are okay. I just heard them both scream in unison. They're probably watching fail videos or something like that. Who knows? But I feel like I don't know if you've seen any of these stories come out, but apparently Marvel as a client for VFX studios is really hard to work with.
Yeah. Because there's a fucking 4 million things they're trying to do at once.
Yeah, and so like all of they're going to different studios to do these things. Because like you can't have all of your work be done at the same VFX studio, so it's like some studios are gonna do stuff that looks better than others, but like at the same time the CG has to look pretty consistent across all of the shows and the movies and stuff, and there's a timeline, so like you have to get shit done no matter what before a certain time. So I'm sure that like studios have to cut corners at some point, and then the quality assurance just looks at the like a certain trailer or whatever, and only if a trailer gets enough backlash like the She-Hulk trailer did will changes be made. But like for the most part what you see is what you're gonna get, and if it's a TV budget and you gotta get that shit out before a certain deadline. If a character is mostly CG most of the time, then, I feel like that's more work that you have to put into like those effects. But I guess positives, Emil Blonsky is back as Abomination, and he is like in his comic accurate like Shang-Chi Abomination look with the fins and, the scales and everything. I mean, I don't want to talk about Daredevil again, like, quite yet, but fuck, man. He shows up at the end of this trailer.
He's in there, too, because they're lowering up Nelson and Murdoch, more like Murdoch and... What's her name?
Walters
and Murdoch.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and he's got a different costume on for this one. He's got a yellow and red one. And then he's going to get his own 18-episode show with... Vincent D'Onofrio as Kingpin again, and he's probably gonna have his yellow costume with the red eyes. Dude, there's a lot of Daredevil love, like rightly so.
Dude, as soon as he popped up in Spider-Man,
yep,
I was like, okay, Daredevil can officially be my favorite MCU hero.
He's so good. Like he fully encompasses like Matt Murdock for me. And it's not like I read any of the comics or anything. It's not like I know, like I'm not the authority on how like Daredevil should be portrayed, but he just does a really good job, and I cannot see anyone else playing Matt Murdock. Apparently it's only a rumor, but apparently all of the Netflix Marvel shows are going to keep the same cast except for one character. And I think it's Iron Fist, because I don't think I think there are a lot of
coming back.
Apparently,
holy shit!
In one way or another, yeah, man. I think with Iron Fist, like specifically Danny Rand, I feel like the reasons are kind of obvious. I know I said no controversial topics today, but let's face it. I think Iron Fist shouldn't be a white guy because, it's perpetuating the like the white savior trope where like this white dude should not like be better than like actual masters of these martial arts, and like even in the comics, I think recently in a very like they recreated the Spider-Man panel, like where his costume is in the trash and he's walking away in the alley. They did that with Iron Fist and Danny Rand, and now Iron Fist in the comics is rightfully like an Asian, like a young Asian man, and I'm like, that's fucking awesome. Like, they're probably going to introduce some version of Iron Fist in the next Shang-Chi movie, because like, that just feels like the right direction to take. That character, maybe like, Iron Fist becomes a protege to Shang-Chi, or maybe he meets him and they become like rivals for a little bit, like during the course of the movie, and then they team up to fight the big bad guy at the end. But who knows? Anyway, She-Hulk.
Yeah. It should be interesting. I'll at least watch this one.
Yeah, I think I might enjoy She-Hulk more than the last couple of shows, just based on the concept and the trailer and everything, because like, even though it's probably only gonna be one episode, I like the shots where like Bruce and Jennifer are working together and they're training together, because it feels, partly because it's on a beach, it feels very much like All Might and Deku, where like Hulk has this power that he's passing on to someone who doesn't know how to use it. And they're on a beach and like they're doing the whole, like, you're gonna be a hero thing and you have no choice and blah blah blah. But in this one, Jennifer Walters looks way more proficient at using these powers than Deku was. Like, they're, Hulk is doing this like yoga pose on the beach, and then Jennifer starts like, one-upping him and doing all these like, intricate movements. She flips off the camera and the middle finger is like blurred, which I think, correct me if I'm wrong, folks at home, but I feel like in the comics, like She-Hulk breaks the fourth wall sometimes, and there's a moment in this trailer where she like turns to the camera and she has like an office moment, and then like Hulk looks at her like what? And then she's like and then turns back to him. So I'm like, this could be like a really like comedy forward show. So I'm interested just on the premise alone, even if the CG looks a little shoddy. I'm excited to see Daredevil. I'm excited to see Hulk. I'm excited to see what they do with Jennifer's character, and what it means for the MCU as a whole. Because you also saw clips of like they're like weapons that are used by these like, I'm assuming, villains that like glow up and like have these like, powers to them. Who knows? I don't even know how long this show is going to be. If it's going to be another 6-episode thing, but it comes out next month. Like less than a month. So as far as things that have trailers, the only other thing that we have to talk about, right, is
Phase 4 ends with Black Panther.
Yeah, Wakanda Forever.
They have a trailer, but there's nothing like talking about what the plot is. Like, it's just...
I will say I do. First of all, like, watching the trailer, I don't know, it for months, like for years now, we've known that Chadwick, having passed away, it's gonna be like a really hard movie to watch. Like for, I mean, anyone, like MCU fans, Black Panther fans, like, I don't know, it's like in the aftermath of Tony Stark dying, there were a lot of characters that were like, I can't believe he's gone, blah blah blah. But this is just going to feel that much more real because, like, Chadwick is actually gone, So, in the first, like, couple of moments, I don't know, it wasn't until a trailer dropped that it would, like, finally hit me, like, oh, yeah, this movie is going to be hard to watch. Because, like, for years, we knew that, like, oh, man, when Black Panther 2 comes out, I don't know how I'm going to get through it. But now it's, like, it comes out in, like, 4 months. I don't know. It was just another one of those situations where like they unveiled the actor for Namor and he came out on stage at Comic-Con, and there are videos like, and all of the comments are like, this is fucking awesome, man. Like, this is the first like Latino superhero, or the first Mexican superhero in the MCU, and like representation matters. And it's so awesome to be able to like put yourself in like the shoes of a superhero that you admire. And
don't forget about who was the wrestler that they announced, like the Spider-Man wrestler that everyone was like bitching about.
The Spider-Man wrestler?
Yeah, he's like a wrestler, like L something. He has like 3 comics like ever. And they're giving him like
Bad Bunny is gonna play him. Not El Muerto.
Yeah, I think that is it.
Is that it?
El Muerto, yeah. Oh man.
Sony is a whole different topic.
That was Sony. I was like, I forgot who did that shit, but
nah, man, that's gonna be whack. Hopefully it's not whack. Hopefully it's I'm trying to be optimistic with all of these movies, just because like I want fans of these characters to feel like their favorite heroes are being well represented and all that. But yeah, man. So you got Atlantis. You got a new Black Panther suit at the end of the trailer, which people are theorizing is Killmonger. Because if you pause, you could see the gold embellishments on the costume.
Yes, but Killmonger died. Here's
the thing, though. Part of the big announcements that happened at Comic-Con as far as the MCU goes is the next phase, like the next saga, these next 3 phases, much like phase 1 through 3 was the Infinity Saga. This is the multiverse it's just like saga.
A variant?
Absolutely. 100%. Because, and I'm going to get into this now because it's going to come up either way. I've been seeing a lot of videos about Secret Wars, which is a really, really big crossover event in the comics that involves incursions and multiverse and heroes from different multiverses coming together to form a team to take down Doctor Doom, who is going to be introduced in the new Fantastic Four movie that's coming out in 2024, I think. And if every movie from now on doesn't involve the multiverse to whatever capacity, like I would be very surprised, because if this is literally called the multiverse saga, it's like just like in phase 1, phase 2, like every one of those movies eventually had like either an Infinity Stone in it or like related to Thanos in some way. So it's like if the movies and the shows at this point in phase 4 onward don't at least somewhat involve the multiverse, I'd be very, very surprised. So them introducing a variant of Killmonger in What If was probably a lot like having the Evil Strange foreshadowed and then kind of brought into Multiverse of Madness. I wouldn't be surprised if this was a variant of Killmonger that shows up in the new Black Panther.
I mean, if Michael B. Jordan is the new Black Panther, I'm all for it.
Me too. Honestly, I think the man can act his ass off, and he apparently like signed on for more Marvel things unexpectedly, following the passing of Chadwick Boseman. And I think if there's anyone to carry on the torch and the legacy of Black Panther, I think Michael B. Jordan is the guy to do it. And with the multiverse coming into play, I could absolutely see them being able to very easily write some way into, bringing Killmonger back to some capacity. We also got Riri Williams, a.k.a. Ironheart, in this trailer. She is probably going to take the place of Shuri in the last movie, where she is like, part of like the Wakandan outreach program. I imagine she's going to, come to Wakanda. She's very smart. I think she goes to Caltech in the comics, and she invents her first Mark I armor in her dorm room. So I wouldn't be surprised if she came up with her first Mark, Ironheart armor, like in Wakanda, using vibranium. Holy shit, man. Think about the possibilities of an Iron Man suit made of vibranium. Like, that would be nuts. Yeah, I'm trying to think like what else in that trailer was particularly like, we got to talk about this. I don't know. I just think Ryan Coogler and company, they're going to do another great job with this movie, and I'm very, very excited and like hesitant to watch it because I know, like, they're gonna have a whole tribute to Chadwick either throughout the movie or at the end of the movie, like they do with Stan Lee, and it's just gonna be rough to get through. But it'll be cathartic and it'll be like really, really well done.
It's gonna be like the intro, like the Marvel Studios intro.
It's gonna be all
Black Panther.
Yeah, as it should be. Yeah, man, I'm just like, that's gonna be a wild one. And the end of Phase 4, which implies that it probably has to end in like a big way. I mean, the end of Phase 1 was the Avengers, and then end of Phase 2 was Ant-Man. It would have been Age of Ultron, but for whatever reason they decided to make it Ant-Man.
It's goofy.
And then the end of Phase 4, or the end of Phase 3 was Infinity War and Endgame. So it's like end of Phase 4 is probably going to be big. So I'm very excited to see how they end that.
But yeah, moving on to Phase 5.
Yeah.
Opens with Ant-Man and the Wasp and the Quantum. I think it's funny how every Ant-Man movie just gets a longer title. Like Ant-Man, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania.
Yeah. It's not that these don't have trailers, but apparently they only showed the trailers at Comic-Con. So we got trailers for Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania and Guardians 3. But they revealed that MODOK is going to be one of the villains in Quantumania. Kang being, the big villain and probably the first variant of Kang that we see out of the many variants of Kang that
we saw him in Loki.
Oh yeah, the first variant like after that, the first like inherently evil variant. I'm assuming. Yes, Cassie Lang is going to be in that movie, recast for whatever reason. I don't know what the reason for that was, but she is going to have her own suit. I'm just going to guess that Scott dies. Maybe Scott and Hope die, but I just remember one of the first promotional arts that went out for the movie that people were like, you can see Kang's reflection in the eye. It was Ant-Man's mask, like his helmet, and part of it was broken like entirely, and then in the other side on his eye, you can see Kang's reflection. So people were freaking out. I'm like, how much longer is Scott Lang gonna survive?
Yeah.
Like, one, his power set just seems very like, I can punch and kick and get small and get big, and I don't know. He was kind of like a comic relief character mostly anyway, but if they're introducing Cassie, on top of all these other younger superheroes, we're gonna get a Young Avengers at some point. But I wouldn't be surprised if most of the Avengers team that are going to be showing up in Kang's Dynasty and then Secret Wars, I wouldn't be surprised if most of them weren't like some of these younger heroes that are showing up.
Yeah, and someone made a good point where like the Ant-Man movies have been really like small in comparison.
Yeah.
And size, pun intended. And then this third one comes out and it's like, no, we're going to introduce like the next fucking Thanos in an Ant-Man movie.
Yeah.
Like, wow.
Yeah. Well, and MODOK I'm assuming we're going to get AIM in this movie too. And AIM becomes a huge deal in the Marvel continuity because like AIM is one of those organizations that's like, they're like a filler organization. It's like they have a bunch of, bad guys in suits and cronies and stuff and like faceless armies. And it's like, it's a surprise that they haven't been introduced until now. But, with AIM around, I feel like the business side of the MCU, Jennifer Walters is going to be wrapped up in a lot of legal troubles, when like, I mean, we've seen Damage Control as an organization that, presents issues for the heroes like legally. So having AIM involved too, powerful organization of like scientists who are like doing things in the background. I think that could be really, really interesting for like the ground level heroes like Spider-Man, Daredevil, like Moon Knight, potentially Blade, which we're also getting a film for. They confirmed it's a film, not a TV show. But yeah, I'm excited for Ant-Man. We're probably going to get a trailer by the time Black Panther comes out because that'll be around the same time that like, between Thor and Black Panther we'll have the same kind of gap between Black Panther and Ant-Man. But yeah, moving on.
And then we have Secret Invasion, which
Yeah.
are the Skrulls.
Yeah,
coming
spring
back.
of 2023. And Nick Fury's coming back to some capacity, probably one of his last appearances, because, I mean, Samuel L. Jackson's in his 70s,
It's gotta
dude.
be, he's like the longest, because he showed up in the first Iron Man, so he's like currently the longest surviving.
Yeah. He's probably got one of the highest number of appearances, too. But yeah, that'll be interesting. It'll probably be related to the Marvels to some capacity, like Ms. Marvel, occupying a big part of space. I wouldn't be surprised if like either she shows up in the show or Nick Fury shows up in the Marvels and that's where he dies maybe. But we don't know very much past that.
Yeah. But then we get Guardians 3, which they did show footage at Comic-Con, and apparently people were mad emotional.
Yeah, well, I mean, even the cast, like when they got up on stage, his brother,
Sean Gunn.
Yeah, Sean Gunn. There was a TikTok that I saw someone captured like in Hall H, and they were talking about how like they watched the trailer for the first time backstage, and all of them were just crying. And they were like, "This is the last time that we're gonna play these characters, and this is gonna have the highest emotional stakes of any of the movies." And I don't know, man. It's going to feel weird in a universe where the Guardians don't exist anymore. Like, because this whole time we've been like, oh yeah, Guardians are just out in space.
Yeah.
And now it's like, if they all die in some like horrific Toy Story 3 style, like we're all going down together kind of death, I'm going to be really sad. Woo, man. But yeah, Adam Warlock, Will Poulter, as Adam Warlock has got a lot of people shocked because he's, he's like playing these like meek, like shyer characters, nerdy characters. Like he was in the Bandersnatch. Is that what it was called? The Black Mirror movie? Yeah, the Choose Your Own Adventure. Oh, that should be its own episode. That was so cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I think seeing the Guardians and Thor was really fun. But yeah.
Then we have Echo, which I don't know shit about.
Yeah, but allegedly it's going to feature a lot of Daredevil and Kingpin.
Yeah.
So we're getting more
All
Daredevil. Right. Yeah, so
they put his ass in every single goddamn show, but won't put him in a goddamn movie. Oh, well, maybe Avengers.
Yeah, they're getting all the mileage out of Charlie Cox. They were like, yo, you want to stay Daredevil? All right, you got to do all of these fucking things. Starting with Spider-Man. And he's just like, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he was like the ground level hero that just, tied everyone together. Yeah, I mean, Echo will be interesting enough. I think them adding the Kingpin and Daredevil is definitely going to draw a lot more people as opposed to if it was just Echo herself, which is a shame because, as the first, she's not the first deaf MCU hero, because who is that in Eternals? Was she deaf or was she mute?
Who cares? Honestly, fuck Eternals.
I didn't mind Eternals, and I am here for the representation, but I digress. I think Echo will be interesting. And, once we get a trailer for it, we can finally, say for sure whether or not,
it's hype.
Yeah, right. Like how we feel about it.
But yeah, then Loki Season 2, which is the first Disney Plus show to get a sequel.
Right. They already started filming. We've seen
Loki is like the only one I really liked.
Yeah. Yeah, we've seen set photos of them, I think in the 70s. So they're gonna, him and Owen Wilson. Isn't his name Morbius?
Morbius, yeah.
Yeah.
He's a variant.
Yeah, he's a Morbius variant.
Yeah. Owen Wilson's gonna walk through a portal or something, and then Jared Leto's gonna walk out.
I swear to God, if they do that, Loki becomes the best show on Disney Plus, like hands down. But yeah, I think we kind of know what to expect from Loki Season 2. More multiverse stuff, more Tom Hiddleston, which is never a bad thing. I don't know how long he's going to want to play this character for, because they already killed him so many times.
Yeah, like 3 times.
I think they talk about that in Love and Thunder too. It's like his brother died.
Oh, he's been dead before.
Yeah.
But this time I think it's for real.
Yeah. So there's that. Maybe, what could be really fucked is like, what if he finds his way to the Thor universe again? And what if he decides to stay? And what if like Thor 5 is another like buddy cop thing with like Thor and Loki again?
Which, oh my God, that's not even on the slate. So it's like,
yeah,
when the hell is
Thor
Chris
5
Hemsworth going to show up? I don't know. Maybe Hercules is just going to be pop up in like Avengers or some shit.
Yeah. So yeah, they did just leave it at Thor will return.
Yeah.
We're not sure if it's Thor 5 or whatever. It could just be Loki season 2, or it could be, that would make Loki super hype. Oh man, if they had Thor show up in a show, because he hasn't shown up in a show yet. But past that,
Yeah. Miss the Marvels.
The Marvels, yeah, which
Marvel 2, which
I've seen some rumors about the plot of that movie. Apparently all 3 of them end up on a planet where they can only communicate by singing. So there may or may not be a musical number, which could be interesting. Apparently, there's a plot point where they all get new costumes on the same alien planet. Was it Monica or Maria? I forget which Rambo it is. Monica, yeah. Monica, Kamala, and Carol all get the same new costumes from the same planet. I forget what other rumors I saw, but still could be cool. I'm just excited to see Kamala's powers with better CGI rendering, and more space stuff, which is always cool.
But yeah, we already talked about Blade and Ironheart.
Yeah.
Then we get the Agatha show, which is still a hard skip.
Yeah, they're unless they pull an Echo and they start throwing, like, I don't know, like Doctor Strange or like other like. I don't think they would do that though, because it's kind of unfair to Catherine Hahn, as the main character. Like, if your whole selling point are characters besides the main character, it's kind of same thing with Echo. I feel like they know those are purely spin-off characters, and they probably know that there are fans out there like us who are like hard pass, but Agatha, I think more so than Echo, I am more willing to skip, because it's so plain to see they only greenlit that show because Agatha all along like charted on the Billboard charts, and her character in the show, I felt like she played that character really well, or at least well enough, and like there was a lot of charm, and but I feel like the Salem stuff, the backstory that we already got, was enough for her. I really don't know what they're going to do with that show. If it's all going to be in the past, then there's no chance of like, no chance of cameos or whatever. We don't really know what to expect from Coven of Chaos.
But we'll just wait and see. But Daredevil we touched on.
Yeah.
And then it ends with Captain America 4, New World Order. Which, oh my God.
Yeah.
You got the writers of Falcon Winter Soldier,
mm-hmm.
which I thought was super boring, and the director of Cloverfield Paradox.
I didn't know they revealed the director yet.
Like, are you serious? That movie blew.
See, I feel like
I'm excited for a Sam Wilson Captain America, but the team behind it, nah.
I hope we are pleasantly surprised, because again, I same thing. I'm super excited for a Sam Wilson Captain America, and like I thought, I really enjoyed the show. Loki was actually the first one in all of them where I wasn't like regularly watching it week to week, like the night that it came out. Like WandaVision and Falcon and the Winter Soldier, it was like, yeah, new episode drops tonight at midnight. I'm gonna watch it as soon as I can. And I liked, the specific dynamic between him and Bucky and the eventual reveal of the new costume. Oh man. And like the message and everything I think was really impactful for me at least. But he's Captain America in general is one of those ground level types where like there's no Hydra anymore. So it's like New World Order. Something has to happen with probably AIM where there's like a threat of like a terrorist organization like taking over the world. Maybe it's Shang-Chi's sister. Like maybe it's the what is it? The Hand? What were they called? That organization or the 10 Rings. Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah, the Hand was the Netflix stuff.
Yeah, that's right. So maybe there's a chance that New World Order brings together some of these ground level heroes to like take down these terrorist organizations. Like that would be a really cool culmination of all of that. If it, is another like sort of political thriller, kind of like Winter Soldier was, I'm all for it. I hope I'm pleasantly surprised because I have not seen Cloverfield Paradox, but I
don't.
Yeah. Okay.
10 Cloverfield Lane is good. The second one.
Is that the one with John Goodman?
Yes.
Okay.
That one was good because it wasn't found footage, unlike the shitty first movie.
Yeah.
All found footage sucks, by the way.
All right.
Not one good movie. But then Phase 6, which, Jesus Christ. It opens with Fantastic Four.
Yeah, which is going to be nuts. Apparently, I think I've told you, allegedly, none other than Jason Segel from Forgetting Sarah Marshall and How I Met Your Mother and all these romantic comedy affiliated things, he is going to be playing Ben Grimm as the Thing. And allegedly, he's going to cameo as Ben Grimm in the She-Hulk show. Yeah,
How
so
early?
Yeah, really early. He's probably only going to be like human, like I don't think he has gone to space yet. Who knows what that plot's going to be? All I know is that I've been waiting for a good Fantastic Four movie for such a long time.
Everyone's been waiting for a good one since the beginning of movies.
Right.
There hasn't been one.
No, and here's what I think is the bigger takeaway. We're finally getting a Doctor Doom. We are finally going to get a Doctor Doom in the MCU. Arguably the best Marvel villain ever put to page. Just like as
Big Wheel.
Second best villain in Marvel Comics. This dude has attained the powers of a god. He's created his own universe. He's defeated almost every Marvel superhero ever made. And at a certain point, he decides to become a good guy because he sees like infinite possibilities of like what his life looks like when he's evil. And he just gets bored. He's like, if I become the villain that I want to be, I'm just going to kill everybody that stands in my way. I'm going to become a god, and then there's going to be nothing for me. So that's why he's like, you know what? I'm going to become a good guy. Like, I'm not going to... This dude is a menace, and I am so excited for him to get introduced finally and become the next Thanos ultimately, because it's probably going to be him and Kang in the Avengers movies, because that's what's next in Phase 6, right?
They didn't show anything in between. They only showed like the beginning, and it ends with two Avengers again. Yeah, with the Kang something and Secret Wars.
Yeah, I think it's Kang's Dynasty.
Yeah,
which it's probably, I don't know how many similarities there are going to be between that and Infinity War and Endgame. But one is coming out in November, and then the other's coming out in May. So there's going to be less of a gap between the two, whereas Infinity War and Endgame were a year apart. This is going to be less than a year. And then at the end of Phase 6, if this Secret Wars storyline follows the comic counterpart, we're getting a hard reboot, folks. Like we are getting a reset on every single hero that gets introduced in the multiverse saga. Like if any other characters show back up, it's going to be a different version of them there is going to be no more multiverse. We could end up getting an Ultimate like reboot, like with all of the Ultimate series of comics. We could get a live action Miles Morales finally, and then he becomes Spider-Man. You know, like we could get like I don't know what other like version of like if we see an adaptation of like the Ultimate comics. I don't know. I'm just super stoked for the future of the MCU, and a lot of people are seeing all of these announcements, and the general consensus is like all of these are going to be mid. Like this is going to be like all like middle of the road. Like as of late, like a lot of the movies and a lot of the shows that have been coming out have been met with very like lukewarm reception, and it's like there's nothing wrong with that. I don't know what to chalk that up to. Like Love and Thunder was good, you know. Multiverse of Madness was good, you know. Moon Knight and Ms. Marvel, they were like, yeah, they have their moments, they're good. I can't remember the last time like a Marvel thing came out and I was like blown away. I think Shang-Chi.
I love Shang-Chi.
Yeah, I honestly think that was the best movie or show in Phase 4, like hands down. I think Shang-Chi is like my favorite. Like I could go back and rewatch it anytime. I think the comedy, the action, the special effects, the story, it's all there. And they even have like the interconnected universe stuff with Wong showing up at the end and Abomination being in the movie, but it doesn't take away from like Shang-Chi's journey. Yeah, man, I hope that something is able to top Shang-Chi. I mean, Spider-Man too. Spider-Man was also really good, but I think Shang-Chi and Spider-Man are 1 and 2. And everything else, there's kind of like a wide gap between everything else.